Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here. Welcome back to another Cardano video. If you're new, make sure you hit the subscribe and the notification bell so that you never miss any of this info, because what I do here is all about Cardano and the Cardano ecosystem. So I've just got off a call with Davidas, who is the CMO and co-founder of ADDX, which is one of the projects that are looking to be the #1 DEX on top of Cardano. This is probably one of the most requested videos I've got in a long time, maybe ever, on the channel. And it's not sponsored in any way before people assume that's the way it is. I got a lot of requests and I reached out to them to see, could we have a chat to fill in some of the blanks that aren't shown on the website and some of the stuff that's ongoing out there and questions that remain in the community. So they done an IEO earlier in the year. They are a Cardano native asset. They done an IEO on the X Markets platform. And I put to them kind of what's the connection, why X Markets, all of that type of stuff as well. And are we going to see more exchanges? So I'll leave all of that until we get into the call. So again, DEX, all about it. Right now, there's 15 to 20 DEXs that could be the #1 for Cardano. And right now we don't know who that's going to be. So in terms of who pulls all of the development together and gets their project out there and gets a really good project out there, I would say early, not first, but early, because being first, if you go first and something isn't fully right, then it can do as much damage as being good and doing good for the project. So as I said, they had their IEO earlier in the year. Right now, phase 2, launching their DEX, is put in here for Q3. I would say we do talk about timelines in the video, but in general, we won't see a DEX on Cardano until, I would say, mid to the end of October. They do have plans as well for a launch pad as well, which would be the next stage. And they're looking to build a cross-chain DEX as well, which is good to see, because for me, I have a Cardano channel, but I'm not one that's a complete maximalist. I see cross-chain interoperability as playing a huge role in the future. The main players on the team then is Davidas, who I talked to, who's the CMO and co-founder, and Mohammed is the other co-founder. And that's where a bit of a link comes in with X Markets, but we will talk about that in the video. So these two are the co-founders, and then Timo is the CEO, but he isn't really at the forefront of the project. If you see anything on the project, it's going to be these two guys here who actually founded the project. So then they have Mate from Binance or Bitcoin.com as an advisor. So if we look, they put out a tech update today. I will put a link to that down below rather than reading through it. Essentially, they have a lot of the front end done, but there's still lots of work to be done on the back end. We do talk about the concurrency issue that is a hot topic with Cardano right now. We talk about that in the call, and I will put a link to this tech update down below. If we look at, they do have this video they put out back the beginning of August, kind of showing what the interface will look like. You can see if you scroll through it, it does look very nice. If they get this to work and line up with the back end, then it will be a really nice interface to use. I will put a link to this video down below as well, that you guys can check that out and decide for yourselves what you want to do. But as I say, all of these front ends, everything like that on the front end looks really nice. But what it's going to come down to for the #1 DEX at the end of the day is, does the product work? Do they solve the concurrency issues? And anyone who just heard of concurrency overnight, this isn't something that has just come to light in the last few days for Cardano. This is something that has been known about for months. Projects have been working on it. Some projects have solutions, some don't, and there's going to be multiple different ways to get around this issue. It's not something that's going to kill Cardano DeFi, but look, let's just get into the interview and hopefully that will answer a lot of your questions. Don't forget to give the video a like, leave a comment down below if I haven't asked anything, and I will put it to them, and also share it out if you think others can benefit. So let's get into it. So today I have Davidas from the ADDX exchange here with me. Davidas, you're very welcome, and thanks for taking the time to come on.
Well, it's been long overdue, Paul, but a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the most requested videos I've had now for a while from the community. A lot of questions on with what's going on with the exchanges and the DEXs and the race that's ongoing at the minute. ADDX is a very popular one out there within the community. So look, let's just jump straight into it. People want the information rather than anything else. Can you tell us the high level what ADDX actually is?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, ADDX is a decentralized exchange built on Cardano, right? If we had to like shout, we are state-of-the-art decentralized exchange on Cardano. Obviously, when the smart contracts were announced that they're coming in, we thought that it's the right time, it's the right opportunity to kind of step in and try to become the DEX of choice. I don't want to say the Uniswap of Cardano, but obviously a lot of people are nicknaming us that way. But yeah, we're pushing for that one. In a nutshell, the actual exchange is something that we're trying to kind of implement from a new angle, so to speak. You probably have seen our demo of the front end of the platform. We kind of shifted away from the, let's say, old school model and the old school design that everybody was very, comfortable and used to. And yeah, we're just trying to, try out to push those boundaries and see where we can get with that.
Okay, yeah, I'll actually show the demo version before we start talking here anyway in the video. So where did the idea or the team come about? Who came up with the idea of the DEX for Cardano? Or
yeah, so in a nutshell, I've been living in Malta back in the day, almost like a year and a half ago. And Malta is, one of those islands where you have 50% gambling, where you have all these major, casino operators and whatnot, and 50% of blockchain. If we look at, previous years in like 2019, etc., there was a lot of, conferences, including like Sigma, for example, where it was a mishmash of both industries. And during those conferences, I was there to represent the gambling side of the business because I was working at one of the leading companies in the field, and obviously started to kind of dig into the blockchain, dig into Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., and meeting all these different people. One of them was obviously Mohammed, who's also our CDO and co-founder. So we kind of had a few conversations. Maybe we can have a look at some sort of a project together, etc. And the initial idea for the project in general was to have a cross-chain exchange, a decentralized exchange, basically some sort of a mishmash of Ethereum and Uniswap and Binance Chain and PancakeSwap. So we worked on that. We had the proof of concept. We were using the Binance Chain bridge between the two blockchains, etc. And then, yeah, as mentioned, Cardano came out with the smart contracts release date, or a more let's say robust timing on when they will be coming. And we had to make a very hard decision in terms of whether or not we're going to be another DEX on Ethereum and Binance Chain, or we're going to be one of the leading DEXs or the leading DEX on Cardano. So everything kind of got reshuffled. We had to revise, the development side of business, because Cardano and all the Plutus contracts are built on Haskell in terms of programming language. So we had to look at, do we have that kind of resource within the team? Do we need to hire them, etc.? And then we just came up with the name, pushed for it, and here we are. I mean, it's been 2 months and a little bit since we were trading already. Token is performing crazily good. We didn't expect anywhere close to being at $1, but yeah, people got into ADDX, people believe in us, and yeah, we just keep pushing.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I think as the price has gone up, that's been a big factor with the volume of messages I've got about what's it all about, what do I think, and all of that type of stuff. So just to go back on that, so yourself and Mohammed are the co-founders of the project then, is it?
Yes, that is correct.
And you were already working on the idea of a DEX before the race for Cardano started, the race for DEX on top of Cardano?
Yeah. It was the proof of concept kind of work on Ethereum / Binance side.
Okay, and will ADDX go for cross-chain down the line as well, or will it just be a purely Cardano DEX?
Yes, absolutely, because IOHK is releasing their own ERC20 bridge. You've probably also seen their previews and demos and whatnot, and that because of those news, that was also one of the factors why we kind of pushed for Cardano, because there will be an entrance for ERC20 tokens into the blockchain and into the DEX as well. The good thing is for us, that we didn't have to go and develop the bridge ourselves. So we'll just take the one from the mothership once it's ready. And essentially it will be a cross chain as well. One other thing, obviously, we can mention is the Polygon bridge. We are working with one of the projects within Cardano to kind of, grill the partnership and actually get that bridge onto the DEX. So that's going to be happening, in the near future as well.
Nice. Is that Automatic, the Vent and Meld bridge, or is that Meld? Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, it's good to hear that. Some people think because I have a Cardano channel that I'm maximalist and all of that, but for me, cross-chain interoperability is going to be the way of the future. Like Cardano does some things really, really well, and there's other things that might be better suited somewhere else. So cross-chain, anything that's interoperable is definitely the way of the future. So
just to kind of add to that, I mean, if we have these sort of solutions from Cardano or, from any project in a nutshell, and the fact that, people can bring ERC20 tokens into Cardano, then trade them, utilize, etc., and obviously utilize the fast transaction and, low fee model of Cardano, that will, help with the adoption of the blockchain in a nutshell and all the dApps that are building on that ecosystem. So I think it's definitely, the move to the right direction.
Yeah. So I suppose then you guys originally launched on X Markets. Where did that come about? Why launch on top of X Markets in the beginning? You done the IEO, wasn't it there? And now you're trading on the exchange as well?
Yeah. So the first reason obviously was due to X Markets having the Cardano native token support, because we went purely CNT. We didn't go for the ERC20 token and whatnot to, have that headache of, trying to convert it into a Cardano token at some later stage, etc. So due to that fact that they had the ability to host these tokens and to actually go on the market straight after the IDO was, a big plus for us. Obviously, we had to have a look, at the actual exchange, the volumes, the team behind it, etc. But after weighing in, having the token listed on day one was outweighing everything. So that's kind of what was one of the main reasons. And the other reason is obviously, as mentioned in previous interviews and, on social media and whatnot, Mohammed is running, his own development team for almost 3 years now, maybe over 3 years already, down in Pakistan, in Islamabad. And, they've been working on various projects from, both blockchains, wallets, centralized exchanges. They were actually the ones who were hired to implement that Cardano native token support onto X Markets. So it was sort of, okay, so we know that those guys have a solution and a working solution done by partially our team. Let's go with that. So it is how it is. And I mean, we've been happy so far, apart of a couple of hiccups, but, we managed to overcome them. We came, with the statement that anything that is, not addicts related is completely up to them. We don't support and we actually condone that kind of behavior. It is how it is, but we keep on trading. People are staking our token, etc., on the off-chain staking solution they have. And the service up until now was perfect for us.
Okay. To be honest, I didn't use X Markets. It's not an exchange I've used myself, and I'm not the biggest fan of centralized exchanges in general and just different things ongoing out there. But on Mohammed doing the integration, I suppose, for Cardano native assets, that's obviously going to be a help when it comes to what you're doing as well on the DEX. He's already got, I suppose, experience there.
Yeah, exactly.
So just the setup there, you guys have him and his team as the core developers, or is there other developers out there, or how does that work?
We also have, 6 developers here in Lithuania. The lead architect is also here. So the guys are working here from Vilnius office. I think on Thursday I was visiting the office. I saw like 4 of them just sitting in front of the screens, just trying to, figure out the code and everything. So yeah, we have some, like internal, and we have like developers on demand from Mohammed and his team, etc.
Okay, so if it comes down to the crunch where things need to get done, you have the manpower to be able to pull in there if you need it.
Yeah, exactly. That was actually one of our selling points when we were talking in the early stages, in terms of like the private sales stage with like institutional investors and whatnot. That we do have the resources on demand if needed to, kind of, as you mentioned, to crunch it out, get it out in the next 24 hours or so. So that's kind of, the advantage that we have, that we are not paying, salary to 30 developers, but we have them on demand when needed. And, that's how we kind of are able to manage our budgets and expenditures as well.
Okay, I suppose we move into development and stuff like that now, where you guys are at. And I suppose, have you found it hard to get Haskell experience? Most projects that I talk to now, it's kind of Haskell developers, anyone with Plutus experience are fairly high in demand at the minute.
Yes, indeed. I mean, we're lucky that we are in Lithuania. It's one of those tech hubs in Europe, I would say, because we have quite a few like very programming languages oriented universities, etc. And I know that in one of the universities they do have like a course for Haskell specifically. So when we were starting to look out for potential talent, we were able to kind of grab those youngsters, very early on, get them, on board, get them trained, and push for bigger results. But at the same time, yeah, the solution architect and the lead developer here in Vilnius are, Haskell experts. So we kind of got covered on that part.
Okay, good to hear, because they are hard to nail down at the minute.
And very expensive.
Yeah, I'm sure any experienced Haskell developer right now can set their own price if they're good enough right now.
Oh, yeah,
so
absolutely.
Development, where are you at now? Can we expect something fairly soon, or what's going on? There's a big race ongoing at the minute with smart contracts coming in just over a week, or actually a week today as we record this.
Yes. In terms of development, we just released the tech update this morning. I mean, we did quite significant progress up until now. The guys developed like free solutions in terms of like MVPs. Let's put it that way. The next stage is literally kind of combining all of that into a smart contract, so you don't need like multiple ones, etc. Obviously, there's the whole backend solution in terms of potential Oracle usage that's being worked on as well, because especially at the very beginning with the smaller liquidity pools, we need some sort of external, price feed that could potentially help with the asset movement within the DEX. So I think obviously there's more info on the actual tech update. We can link it probably after the video, etc. But we're very happy. Mobile version is also, kind of moving forward. We already kind of dropped a little sneak peek into the tech update just to showcase that that's going to happen. Initially, it will be a mobile web version, but then we will be looking at iOS and Android, like apps in the near future as well. But that has, additional implications in terms of usability, etc. So it will really depend, what can the developers come out with in terms of app development. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, good to hear. I suppose there is a huge issue. Well, everyone's making it a huge issue now outside of Cardano. They're making it that all of a sudden concurrency is an issue that it wasn't known about before this. But as far as I've seen, talking to different developers, they've been working on it for months now, looking at solutions. For anyone who hasn't heard of it, concurrency is just basically the number of transactions that can be included in a block. So EUXTO,
EUTXO.
Yeah, mouthful. It brings advantages and disadvantages to the blockchain. And I suppose concurrency is one of them that teams are working on solutions. Have you guys looked into that much yet? Or
Yes.
When you're trying to do swaps, how is that looking? Different teams seem to have different solutions. There's no one way to do it. There's a few different ways.
Yeah, that is correct. That there's no one unified solution. I mean, if you look at other projects who actually already kind of put out their, like architecture on how they're gonna overcome it, etc. As many projects that came up with the solution, as many solutions as you have. So we obviously looked at all of them as well. We took, the good pieces, and we did manage to sort it out. So obviously, as mentioned in the tech update, we can't really like showcase it all at the very beginning, but it will be coming out in the weeks from now.
Okay, yeah. From what I gather, anyone who has a solution to concurrency is essentially a competitive advantage at the minute. It's a trade secret that's
Yeah.
out there. But as soon as you guys are ready to demonstrate a swap or anything like that, you're more than welcome to come back on and show us how that's all working.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, you have to understand, there wasn't, such a big hype behind the blockchain as it is with Cardano for a very long time. The last one was probably what, Ethereum and Binance Chain. So these sort of, early on races are very important. And if you want to, take the advantage of the first mover, you gotta, have a little bit of that secrecy and can't just, oh, here's the code, here's the solution, take it all, take it all. No, you can't just do that. So people have to understand that not everything has to be kind of disclosed publicly. And it's not because of, oh, we're just, smoke and mirrors or whatever. No, it's just the race that's out there. And when we started with Addix, it was like what, 6 swaps, 6 dexes within Cardano ecosystem, and now I think there's like 16 or 17. So the race is tightening up. So yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I fully understand that. Like, look, even being first to market isn't always going to be the best either. Like, being first to market, if your product is on point, is definitely a huge advantage. But it's something I'm saying to lots of projects as well, is that like an extra week or two on whatever timelines people give for launching, it's not a big issue, because one wrong line of code or doing something wrong can cause endless damage to the name of a project as well if they come out too early.
Yep.
So on that type of talk, when can we expect the DEX to launch, or a rough timeline of that? September 12th, you're going to launch on the day, yeah?
I wish. No, probably we're not going to launch on September 12th. That would be something, out of this world, basically. Because, yeah, in a nutshell, yes, Cardano as a blockchain will be supporting the smart contracts, but there's no deployment solution for those smart contracts within the testnet right now. And that's why we actually posted an article today, just, a reality check for, all the, let's say, community within Cardano and within Cardano ecosystem as well, that it will be very, very, tough to get something out there on the 12th. And I highly doubt that there will be a single project that has it live on the mainnet. So we have to be realistic. In terms of the actual smart contracts, we believe we'll have them done in the next week and a half, 2 weeks. And then it's just the audit. The audit is the most important. It's probably the audit is more important than the actual smart contract, because you gotta get that code nailed down. All the potential triggers and potential vulnerabilities have to be disclosed and found. So that's something that people have to take into account as well. In a nutshell, I would say once the smart Plutus Playground smart contracts are deployable on the mainnet, the countdown starts, and I would suspect it will be between 6 to 8 weeks until we go live.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose the bigger projects out there, that's kind of the timeline I'm hearing. Kind of middle, end of October is generally a rough timeline that's been thrown out there. And I think a lot of that is down to, as you mentioned there, the audits, that even if a project is ready to go a week after the launch of smart contracts, then they could launch. But if a team launches without a proper audit, then it would just be a huge red flag for me, because especially in the DEX space, if you're coming in that could potentially be handling crazy amounts of transaction volume within the first few days of launching, then you need to make sure everything's on point. And as we said earlier, with Haskell and with the I suppose, being hard to get at the minute. I presume companies that will do audits are also fairly hard to get at the minute. So getting a slot with
Yes,
them to
that is
actually get
correct.
it done.
Yeah, that is correct. With the auditors themselves, there's only, a handful that are fairly respectable that can actually, um, do the job correctly and not just, oh, we did the audit and forget about it. No, we need proper ones, and there's only a handful of them. And obviously there's, let's say, a line already of projects lining up, to go through the auditing process, etc. But we have a couple of them that are, in advanced talks already, and we're definitely gonna be ready, to showcase what we have to them, and so that they can start drilling the code and hopefully, not find any vulnerabilities.
Yeah, or if there are vulnerabilities, hopefully they are the ones that find them as well. Like
Yeah.
on the September 12th, we could potentially, and hopefully we will see some fairly small projects just launching to show, not even projects, just smart contracts to show that they actually work. So a lot has been made of the concurrency that Cardano DeFi has completely failed. That's what everyone outside the project is starting to spread now. But just get a few smaller smart contracts running in the first week or so to show how things can run. But anything that is dealing with scale and volumes of funds, then they are going to be another few weeks down the line before we
Yeah,
get
I
them.
think so. I mean, those, let's say, smaller smart contracts, the hello world kind of type, I think those will be out fairly soon. Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be simple games and stuff like that that can be done that you're not worried about if there is a leak in it that you lose crazy amounts of money. It's like when you look back at when other platforms launched smart contracts in the beginning, there was a lot of hacks and a lot of leaks back through the years, even for Ethereum, which now is seen as the go-to for smart contracts right now. I think personally that's going to change over time, but if people look back through the history, it wasn't smooth sailing from day one for them either.
No,
So
absolutely not.
what's next for ADDX? What can we expect? So obviously launch, you're saying in around that, was it 6 to 8 weeks, something around that? Or again, all going well on the dev side?
Yeah, I mean, from development, obviously, what's next is trying to get the products launched. Obviously, as mentioned also in the tech update, there probably won't be as many cool features on the very beginning because the actual liquidity pools and the swap engine are the main two features of the DEX. Adding all those nice looking charts, it will take time, like we have on Ethereum, etc. That's been working for a while now. But if we take Binance Chain, they didn't kind of figure out those charts yet. They're behind, in blocks and everything. So we'll have to wait for a solution on Cardano as well. If it doesn't come from anyone, outside ADDX, etc. The guys said that, yeah, we'll just do our own. It's no problem, So that's something that we are looking in the nearest future. Then obviously down the line, all these bridges that we have promised to implement. So ERC20 is going to be the first one. Potentially we'll have Polygon Bridge. Another interesting project that's coming out called Concordium. So we have a little bit of conversation with them going to see what could potentially come out there. And obviously, lastly, but not the least for sure, the launchpad of ADDX is going to be a thing as well. Because essentially that will bring utility to the token in terms of how you can buy into a specific project and whatnot, and obviously that's another kind of revenue stream for the actual project itself, because DEXs, they make money but they don't make enough to operate at the high level for a very, very long time. That's why having a B2B revenue stream is something that we're definitely looking at.
Okay, so lots in the pipeline for once the initial DEX is out there anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as mentioned, we got to do, what's needed initially, and then we will add the nice things afterwards, So focus on the main important thing, so to speak.
Yeah, what we need first is straight up swaps that people can actually trade, decentralized, that they can trade their tokens. Just on that, have you guys any other exchanges that you're looking at, or will you be waiting until your own exchange comes out to be the next?
We've been, in contact with Cardano Foundation on that specific question, because we were, kind of running into a lot of roadblocks in terms of, getting the token listed anywhere else. So we are expecting to get a list of exchanges that they've been working with, closer to kind of support the native Cardano tokens. So once we get that, we'll probably get listed on many more exchanges, so to speak. There's a couple of more that we are in talks right now, a few bigger ones, a few like medium-sized exchanges, etc. And yes, that's definitely one of the priorities that we're pushing for and have been pushing for from the very early on, because when we got reached out by various exchanges like, oh, do you want to list on our exchange? And we're like, first question, do you support native Cardano tokens? No. Can you? Yes, if you pay an X amount on top of the normal fee, we can do it for you. And we're like, so we're gonna have to pay one fee, so you get the solution, and then you'll just sell it to all the Cardano projects, as a baseline fee. And they're like, yeah, that's kind of the case. So it was, a little bit of a, roadblock for us. We tried pooling with other projects, but obviously some of them are competitors, so not many wanted to. So hopefully post the 12th, more and more exchanges will be out there, and we can, open our token to many, many more traders around the globe.
Yeah, I suppose my personal thoughts on that is that some exchanges probably are waiting as well until we get this hard fork event over, and then they can start to hopefully look at integrating Cardano native assets, because when you see the volumes of people that are looking to trade Cardano and Cardano native assets, to me, it's a win-win for exchanges. Why they wouldn't want to pull in that volume, because most centralized exchanges at the end of the day are in it for themselves to make profit for themselves. So if they can pull in assets that are going to bring liquidity to the exchange, then they should really be trying to do that. And with Cardano, they actually have a specific team that deals with exchanges to help these types of integrations. So the help is there if exchanges actually do want to do it.
Yeah, and I'm sure the guys are working, with Cardano, and I mean, other exchanges are working with Cardano, Foundation themselves, because those guys, they do support all these different exchanges, and they want to, have a bigger adoption for the ecosystem. So I'm sure, there's work in progress, and we'll see the results fairly soon.
Yeah. Look, thanks very much for your time. Is there anything else that you want to leave us with? Or I think we've given a fairly good overview there. If there's anything we've missed just before we wrap it up.
I think we covered quite a few questions. I think some of them were really outstanding, from the community itself. So I think it's a good interview, so to speak.
Great. Well, look, Azet, thanks very much for your time. When you guys are ready to do a swap and show what the exchange can actually do, then you're more than welcome to come back on and do that as well. So we'll catch up soon. Everyone for watching. Definitely. Thanks very much for watching. If you haven't hit subscribe, like this video, share it out there, please do so. And I will talk to you very soon. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.